Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast, talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking the best and worst dads and father figures in pop culture. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
And I'm Steve. How's it going?
And before we dive into it, just want to thank everyone for taking the time to like, listen, share, subscribe, support Nightcap Chat. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. But we sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Now, something interesting just happened here, didn't it? Now, usually, we only introduce ourselves. But this is the first time Steve has introduced himself as part of us. Because we're officially announcing Steve as part of the Nightcap Chat family. He is joining us as a correspondent. We're going to add him to the website here. What does that mean? He gets to introduce himself now, and he's just going to keep popping in. So,
yeah. Does that also mean that Lance eases up a little bit? Because I can just tell from his tone he's not happy about my inauguration into the group.
He didn't text me back when I texted them, so that's interesting.
I didn't? No way. You're lying. You're full of it.
No,
I'm so happy. What do you mean? You're lying.
And look, Steve's the only one wearing a Nightcap Chat shirt. The rest of us are like, yeah, whatever.
I'm just like, yeah.
Steve is on his game.
He's like the freshman, you got to wear the attire, and then after a little bit, you just abandon it.
And then you make me dress up like a Teletubby for an episode or something idiotic, right?
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking with ideas. But yeah, like we wanted Steve on. Steve has supported us both as a listener and a contributor, literally from even before we started this as a podcast. In the early days of our friendship, because we have a mutual friend, I had brought it up just in passing, and he was just so jazzed about it. And I was like, no, it's fine. He's like, no, do a video version. I was like, no, nobody wants to look at me. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he was just way overly supportive, and I barely even knew him at the time. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, I think.
He sounds like an awesome guy.
Oh my gosh, I almost spit my drink on my microphone.
Are you hearing other words? I don't understand. I apologize if I offended. Sounds horrible.
But we
got
to
say that in my luxurious cabin.
Yeah. Steve is out in Hannah Montanaville or wherever.
Yeah, she's actually a neighbor. She won't keep it down.
That makes sense.
He's thinking party in the USA or something? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. I could tell as soon as it left my mouth it was a dumb joke. Who cares? Move on.
We're all about the dumb jokes here.
Worst part, that means Billy Ray Cyrus is nearby too, doesn't it?
What? No, they don't let him over here, please.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
that really hurts my achy breaky heart.
Oh my! Come on!
Oh!
Can we start the intro again?
Yeah, we need to start over. Try this again.
I'm not even the one that brought it down. There's no way I'm on the hook for this one.
I'll do it, guys. Welcome back to Nightcap Chat.
I was like, all right, cool. Let's start
the Pop Culture Podcast.
Yeah. Oh, we just do the Brady Bunch squares?
Yes. How do we all say part of the intro?
Here's the story of a host named Lady,
who's a brand new part of this really stupid show, and he really dislikes this dude here because he's I can't think of anything mean that starts
because when his hair gets long, it gets a little curly.
No, come on, we'll move along. I was on a riff here.
Yeah, we blew it. Sorry, we ruined first 10 minutes or 3 minutes of this episode.
We wasted their life. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm leaving this in. We're just going for it now.
Oh come on, I sound like a moron.
This is
all
great.
right, I should know better. I don't trust you. I thought you were going to do it.
Nope.
All right.
You don't see him jotting anything down.
Look at me. Here's my pen.
Don't forget.
Here's my pen.
Dude, just so we're clear, ever since I brought that up, it's like a big thing. You mention it every show.
I know.
Write this number down. Ooh, I gotta write this down. See?
Because he does it at like good parts. He's like, no. I'm like, that's hilarious. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
My hammer of censorship.
But I get his point though, Lance. I just read the Apple iTunes downloads, and Nightcap Chat is number 1 on 5 to 8-year-olds. So I could see that is why he wants to keep it kind of young. But you can't get rid of the 5 to 8 category, dude. That's when they're really forming their dedication to shows. So you got to keep doing whatever you're doing. And if it means super censorship and you can't say poop, then that's fine.
And it's going to be long term because they have a long life ahead of them,
Yeah. Those kids, when they get out of that 8 stage and they go to 9 and they're like, I want to find a better show to listen to, and then they start listening to other stuff, they're going to come crawling back. That's why the 8 is just going to keep bumping out, man. You can't get rid of the show. It's infectious. Yep. You can cut and redo the beginning at any time. This is the stupidest intro of all time.
We're derailing this. We're going all the way off the tracks here. We've got a great show. This was actually Steve's idea. So that's why he's here. Like, he had this idea and I was like, but then it grew on me. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're doing this. This is going to be great. Actually, it took me a little bit to come around, but I saw the wisdom. I saw the vision. All right. So I'm going to let you start with this and take it away.
Well, that is the most flattering thing I've ever heard. My wife has never said anything to me that nice. And then the show started with Ken saying I look cool today, which is the dumbest crap of all time. So I'm feeling great. The only person that continues to bring it down is Lance and his utter hatred for Steve. But you know what? I'm going to keep going on. There's Steves across the world that can't be put down by Lance's. So I'm going to just keep going. That was all stupid and dumb. Okay, so the idea is Father's Day was just this weekend. And it is, who is your favorite fictional or your favorite father character in pop culture? Books, comic books, TV, movies, whatever you want in pop culture. And then Blade said, what if we speed the show up a little bit and we do 2 and we do your best and your worst? So,
well, not just 2. You can have more than that.
Oh, no, I have 5.
Okay, great.
Them off as fast as we need to. So I'll just jump right in with my number, I guess on the bottom of my worst list. So number 5 would be Ego from Guardians 2.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, that's a throwaway then. Everyone can just move along. You knew it was going to be there.
No. So wait. I don't want to rush past this Ego because we need to focus on this for a second. So here's the interesting, because you're bringing it up from the perspective of the Guardians movies, right? Which is really interesting.
Which is another thing I think I bring to the show as a 4th member is that I have no idea what the hell you guys are talking about when it comes to the original characters and how they actually were. I'm just a cinematic person. I love and I'm obsessed with film. So all I know is about the movie stuff, which is why I like this show in the first place, is you guys helped explain it to idiots like me that just want to watch what's on TV. So that's me.
Yeah, it's because Ego was never Star-Lord's anything from whatever. Why they did it, I guess I understand. Not completely, I'll be honest. But yeah, he was a terrible dad. Terrible to lots of people. And that was apparent with all of the skeletons of his children inside the planet, which was also himself.
I guess you
kind
could
of
That's kind of like one of the worst. Period.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell has such a big ego. Did he have to be that character in that movie or something there? I mean, is that a Kurt Russell ego thing?
Right.
Kurt Russell.
Oh.
Or how about those isn't it Hasselhoff, the Hasselhoff references, right?
Yeah.
Is this what you want me to look like? And they actually got David Hasselhoff in front. I bet
recorded a song for the soundtrack.
Yeah. No, Ken, you were probably all over that.
I loved it, dude. I was hoping Kit would come in and say, "Okay, here, let's drive this plot along."
Drive this plot along. I like that. And then so that was my number 5, sort of the bottom of my worst list. And then on my best list, and I posted this clip before on my Instagram in a weird way. It's a little kid show, and it's on Nick Jr. and it's Australian, and it's called Bluey. And it's
I love that show.
Like these blue healers, right? And then in the house, and if you know anything about me, I won't get super opinionated. I think that dads are so mistreated today in anything, fiction, even non-fiction. Just what you see is so bad that the idea that there's this cute Australian show that paints the dad as this super cute and fun, jokey character that's really relatable for a dog. I don't know. He's great. So I'm a huge fan of Bluey, but that dad is number 5 on my list.
I love that show. That show is great.
I have nothing to say about that. So like that, you guys, if you guys have something to say,
cool.
like you,
it's this one of those shows where the jokes are so like for kids because it's cute, but then the real joke is something that kids don't get, but the parents laugh at from the background.
I love that.
And I'm like, they don't know what the hell that means, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like R-rated. It was just a joke about common adult things. So I don't know. It's really cool. But anyway, the dad is cool, and I like seeing dads treated really well. So it's a cute dad that's a big smart ass, and I like him.
Okay, so the Lance, what do you got?
So for worst dad, I'm gonna go with the obvious pick. It's like a softball. Darth Vader.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
you know. I mean,
obvious.
like, come on, horrible father. Wasn't there. Ended up trying to kill his own son.
Cut off his hand. Sat there and watched him get electrocuted and actually like debated, like, should I, like, he didn't immediately stop Palpatine. He sat there and looked back and forth like, like, should I save him? Like there was a struggle. And then he finally was like, yeah.
I guess so.
How can a man with no father figure growing up until he gets Emperor Palpatine to be his father figure ever going to be a good father?
You're absolutely right.
Like
look at Ken. Thank you, Ken. Ken just defended what I originally brought up.
100%.
Maybe he was a good dad. You just did it. Hell yeah. How would
he's got no way how to learn how to be a good father other than the Force itself. When he saw this horrible father figure in Emperor Palpatine that's been guiding him and trying to teach him like that, hey, you can rule the galaxy together with me. And, you know, the goodness of Luke, his real son who's never stopped caring for him, even though he says, no, it can't be true. He always wanted to bring his dad back to the light side. So, you know, Luke, I would almost say in that same defense, should be son of the year for not trying to disown his father, for trying to make him the worst human being in all of the galaxy.
I disagree because Anakin had a father figure.
No.
He had Obi-Wan.
No.
Nope.
And Qui-Gon.
Nope. He was only father figure, but that was because they seeked him out because he was the chosen one. And like that,
but he tried to like help him, and then he was like, "No, I'm gonna do what I want."
No.
Yeah, he the man of the house since he was born. Like that, he was acting like the man of the house since he was born. I mean, my mom's got to do this on her own. I got to do whatever I can. So he learned how to fix things. He learned how to be an asset to the family. I mean, that guy built C-3PO when he was 9 years old. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, Anakin was starved for someone to be that father figure in his life, and Qui-Gon died so quickly. Obi-Wan was just the older brother, like, no, Anakin, you can't do this. You know, like telling little brother, don't touch.
Yes.
Don't touch.
Yeah.
Don't touch. Do you know what I mean? It's like that, having to be the older brother figure to Anakin, and Qui-Gon, the guy that should have been his father figure, getting killed by Darth Maul. Do you know what I mean? Like Obi-Wan, both of the brothers lost their father figure. Like Obi-Wan being the brother to Anakin figure. And, you know, Qui-Gon, who should have been the rightful father figure that would have changed the fate for Anakin for years and the whole galaxy, was that opportunity was opened up by Emperor Palpatine, who I think me and Blade were talking about this off screen earlier today, is like the true father of Anakin Skywalker, because he created him with the Force inside of Simi. So he's been, you know, the father figure in waiting, but it was all out of pure corruption, not fact of actually caring for Anakin in any way other than a way to get more power in the galaxy.
I mean, like you're right that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were like maybe been the closest thing, but Qui-Gon died too quickly, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like it was more of a brother dynamic, which is not the same. You know, like he was a mentor, but it wasn't quite the father. Like you were my brother, Anakin. I loved you, right?
And I don't mean to take it so far off tangent, Lance, in any way, dude. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Like I can relate to that relationship thing in so many different ways of things I've seen in my life. And it's kind of weird. Like I think that's why I love Star Wars so much. It's because I see a lot of things in other people's natural family relationships that, you know, the Skywalker family dealt with in a lot of ways, that it's very, very socially relevant in today's society of some of the things that George Lucas hit on, which is really kind of creepy because he hit on it 40 years ago.
Yeah. A lot of bad fathers in Star Wars.
Isn't that kind of the reason why, not just because it looks so cool, but isn't that why it's so relevant today, is because of that exact same thing? How many people have seen Starman, the one, or E.T., the other one that, not E.T., but the one that took its place? I can't remember what it's called. And because they don't hold up at all. So this is the perfect test of time. It's a fantastic story.
And the cool thing about Vader, too, is, I mean, for a guy that was so born in what he had to deal with, such the coolest looking villain of all time. I said, too, still to this day, my favorite villain of, like, is there anybody cooler looking than Darth Vader that you think of, like, that, dude, Darth Vader, that guy is the it factor everybody wants to be as a villain, is Darth Vader.
I think Stormtroopers would show up on the list somewhere in villains because they're also super iconic. But I think Vader's the number one look and sound of anyone. The only other one I can think of that would even rival it is like Michael Myers. You know, that's with a similar face and sound sort of thing if you're going for villains. But yeah, I think that Vader is unbeatable.
So crazy. Such a good villain.
Now we're on a side Vader topic. Sorry about that.
Now, do you have a good one too, Lance?
Not right now on top of my head.
Okay, Lance is gonna make something up. Lance is gonna make something up in a little bit. Okay, Ken.
Okay, like that. My favorite worst dad of ever time was always Norman Osborn.
Ooh.
That guy is the biggest a-hole father I think I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just think about the whole factor. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I don't know if you guys have heard. I might like the symbiote Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, symbiote Spider-Man's the best. Ken says it over and over again. I know, I get it. But Norman Osborn, oh my gosh, dude, what a horrible father. I hate saying it. Like, Harry Osborn's his son. What? I'm sure you guys are familiar with the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Peter Parker, Harry Osborn's best friend, Norman's more fascinated with the potential of him as a son than his own son. And I'm going, dude, what kind of father does that to their son constantly? Why don't you be more like your best friend, Peter? Peter, why don't I show you how to build stuff? Why don't I show you how cool it is with what I do with my company? Hey, how would you like to come work in my company someday? And can you imagine being Harry Osborn? No wonder why he's all screwed in the head. Do you know? It's like Norman Osborn never, ever gives Harry the type of respect he gives Peter Parker. And to me, like, there's nothing more worse than a son pining for their father's affection. And Norman is the king of belittling his son, of like, yeah, you know what? I wish you were Peter more than you are who you are. And to me, I always thought, like, man, what a horrible father figure is Norman Osborn. But that's where I go with that on that, because what a jerk. That's all I can say. I mean, Green Goblin, one of my favorite villains, don't get me wrong, but Norman Osborn, that guy is a tool of all tools when it comes to a father figure. As a villain, great. Father, nah, dude, I don't want him in any Father of the Year votes. Never would do it.
Yeah.
And but when it comes to good fathers, that's a tough one too, dude. There's a lot of cheesy good fathers. Do you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to father figures, if I'm going to stick in the same wheel well, Uncle Ben has got to be one of the best father figures of all time.
Iconic.
Yep.
And a guy that was only in one issue and still to this day impacts every single decision Peter Parker or Spider-Man makes. And it wasn't even his real father, but he was the father figure that formed Peter Parker. And with great power comes great responsibility. That was not from Richard Parker, Peter Parker's father. That was from Uncle Ben Parker, who taught him what it is to be Spider-Man.
Which is what I would consider one of the top 5 quotes in fictional entertainment history.
Oh,
I mean, Luke, I'm your father, and with great responsibility comes great power. That's got to be like number 2, maybe top. It's definitely top 5. That's such an iconic quote.
100%.
Yep.
I love that, and that's definitely a quintessential choice there. All right, so I'm going to start with this one because the last episode we did a Lord of the Rings episode. So I'm going to start with the worst father in Tolkien lore, And Lance is making a face because he can't think of it. And that's Denethor, the father of Boromir and Faramir. What a garbage father. If you watch, even if you just watch the movies, he's getting ready to send his only. Boromir dies, spoiler alert, in Fellowship of the Ring, and just Faramir is there, and he loses one of the cities, and he's going out to send his now only son on pretty much a suicide mission, and he kind of knows what's going on. So Faramir literally says to Denethor, and this is the son to the father, "You wish now that our places had been exchanged, that I had died and Boromir had lived." And then Denethor says, "Yes, I wish that." To his son, to his face. So he says, "Well, since you were robbed of Boromir, I will do what I can in his stead. If I should return, think better of me, father." And then he said, "That'll depend on the manner of your return." Cold, and like that is screwed up. Come on.
Yeah.
Even Darth Vader didn't say, "I wish you were dead, Luke."
No.
I wish you died and Leia had lived. Like, come on. Like that is messed up. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, it's bad.
So Denethor, probably the worst. It's got to be the worst father in Lord of the Rings. Now here's my good one. Brian Mills, played by Liam Neeson in the movie Taken.
Oh God.
How do you get like probably one of the best fathers in cinema? His daughter gets kidnapped by traffickers in Europe, and he literally says, like, "Look, you can like let her go, and like that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, like, I'm gonna find you and I'm going to kill you." And they're like, "Good luck." And he does. He goes to Europe. He tracks down this whole trafficking ring, and he kills everybody and saves his daughter in the middle of it. Like, bam. I mean, iconic, fantastic film. It's Liam Neeson. I mean, that's just the best. I don't even care.
I love the film. I just want to know, but is your top list going to be like 5 Liam Neeson playing dad?
I tried so hard.
I'm so mad at you for saying that, Lance, because I wanted him to just keep doing it. I was doing the exact same thing.
Taken. I mean, I didn't watch this.
Pick. That's a great one.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
All right. So my next 2 are indie kind of ones, so I'll go through them really quickly. As far as worst, it's from my favorite director today that is still making movies is Wes Anderson, and he made Royal Tenenbaums and Fantastic Mr. Fox and all these other ones. But anyway, my favorite film of his is The Royal Tenenbaums, and Royal Tenenbaum, played by Gene Hackman, is such a bad dad, but you still sort of cry for him and you feel for him and how nuts he is and his family. So that's on my worst list. And then best is, I don't know if anyone ever watches this. This is just a personal one. It's my favorite TV show of all time, which is HBO's 6 Feet Under. I know, super fun show to talk about on here. It's super sad. It's written by Alan Ball, and it's incredibly depressing. But the father, Nathaniel Fisher Sr., he dies in the pilot episode. He dies in the first 20 minutes. And then he shows up almost every episode in people's different imaginations, and he helps them. He screws with them. He's kind of whatever, but he's my favorite character, my favorite show of all time. So Nathaniel Fisher. Sort of indie ones. You probably won't know them. My next ones are more A-list that you'll get.
Okay. I can dig it. Yeah, I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah.
Lance?
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
We're going in the circle.
I'm going to start with my a good one, a good dad.
Okay.
And I think Blade's probably the only one that might actually have seen this. But Vegeta.
Huh. As a good dad?
As one of the best dads.
Okay. I want to know why you...
Wait, who is this? What
is a character from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Because, I mean, like, was he hard on his son? Yeah. But he had good intentions to make him strong and take care of, the world, right? And his mother, right? And look at his dad and all the garbage he went through. The fact that he, like, lets him do all the things. He wears like the pink shirts that Bulma makes him wears, and he's like kind of like takes it, and he's like a prince of his own race that got blown off the planet. You know what I mean? And he's always full of pride, but when it comes to his family, he always swallows the pride. And sure, he'll be a little hard on his son when it comes to like training, getting stronger, but it's in his best interest.
Okay, because he wasn't there like as a baby. He wouldn't like even like he relegated that to Bulma. So he did
He
come
didn't know
around.
what to do.
He did come around. So that's fair. I what's the word I'm looking of? Like I concede the point there. Okay. I dig it. I can dig it. And we if you do like Dragon Ball Z, a couple episodes ago we had Chuck Huber who voices Android 17 on the show, so go ahead and check that out. You got another one, Lance, or
No, all right. I'm still thinking. I had a bunch in my head and then I forgot literally.
Start writing them down. Cad?
Senior Ken.
Now, this one was like just listening to everything too, and I'm kind of like maybe going too much off on a tangent here, but I thought of an actor that's played both a good dad and a bad dad in two separate shows, and I think of them as separate realities of the same father being from different Bizarro universes.
Okay.
And having to deal with this family life and how it evolved differently, positively in one universe and negatively in another universe. And some people don't understand my reference on this, but I see it perfectly because I watched both shows pretty religiously for a while. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ed O'Neill's character as a father in Married with Children,
yes,
and
course.
as a grandfather in Jay Pritchett. And I've got this theory that Modern Family is an alternate reality of Married with Children, where Ed O'Neill's acting character had a positive outcome and Married with Children is the negative life outcome.
Interesting.
And Al Bundy, not really the worst father, but he's portrayed as one of the worst fathers. I work at the shoe store, I go home, I drink beer, I ignore my kids, but I'm still kind of likable somehow. You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever hate Al Bundy, but you feel sorry for him. You know what I mean? And then there's Jay Pritchett, who has a successful closet company on Modern Family, got a super hot wife that adores him, where Peg thinks that she's married to the biggest loser father, husband of all she wants to do is shop all day, and she just wants to spend his money that he barely has. And Aldous wants to come home and talk about his 7 touchdowns that he scored back in high school. They got the annoying neighbors next door that are, Steve and Marcy. And then over in the Ed O'Neill universe on Modern Family, the neighbors are so nice. He doesn't mind the neighbors. He's got a beautiful house. He's got a beautiful company. I mean, it's funny too, because his 2 kids, like Bud Bundy and Kelly Bundy, Kelly's totally blonde-haired, kind of, floozy girl. And Bud Bundy is like, thinks he's the ladies' man, but no lady in the world gives him the time of day. And then over in Modern Family, he's got the blonde daughter that is smarter than anybody needs to be. And then he's got the son who doesn't want anything to do with girls whatsoever. And it just, to me, it's like, this has got to be on purpose. And Christopher Lloyd writes Modern Family, but I always want to interview him and ask him, is this just like a troll to Married with Children, what you did with this show? And it's just, it's such an amazing show. Both of them, you got to like Married with Children for what it is, and you got to like Modern Family for what it is. But it's the perfect, to me, bizarro world of the same person having a different butterfly effect for 2 different TV shows.
Yeah.
But that's my choice for Good Father, Bad Father number 2.
Wow. And what a comic book perspective that was. Like you're starting to look at alternate realities and stuff.
Crisis on Infinite Ed O'Neill's.
Yes, 100%.
Does anybody else ever like that, that watch both shows at all? Did that ever epiphany to him as you watch the show at all?
Well, I didn't want to cut you off. You just kind of blew my mind. So I love both of those shows. I grew up watching Married with Children with my parents and being obsessed with Christina Applegate for so long. And then I've watched all of this show, Modern Family, with my opinions vary on the seasons. But I didn't know that they were related in the storytellers and that the filmmakers, they were the same people.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's interesting. That makes sense then. So that puts more credence. My theory is like it's an alternate reality of Ed O'Neill being a father in two different story sets.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had honestly not thought about that, and looking it up now, I don't know. That's awesome. Anyway, that's cool. You blew my mind. That's an awesome pick.
Okay. So what I really like that happened without even planning on it, because like we're really bad at planning anything, is like we've touched on all the aspects of pop culture that we claim that we talk about: movies, TV shows, comic books. So I'm gonna do my video game choices now, because we're gonna bring it around to there. Oh my gosh, and I just totally lost one of them as I'm pulling up my list. I didn't write it down. What is wrong with me? Oh, no, it was a good one. Okay. Okay, anyway. I have a good dad. A good dad. I don't know if Lance has played this game, and I made Steve download it.
Look at Lance's face. What game have I played? Come on, let's do this.
So in Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy's adoptive father, Rost, is awesome. He's one of my favorite characters in the game, and he has very good taste when it comes to grooming, especially in the beard and hair area. The way he has a long dark beard and a high and tights, he's his style is impeccable, I must say. But I mean, Rost was there. He, minor spoiler alert, but you find out right in the beginning, like he gets himself like shunned from the tribe to take care of Aloy when she was a baby, like right off the bat. And he just goes, and it's just, he has to live in exile to raise her, and he does it. So I'll just leave it at that, because I want everyone to play it. I want everyone to be excited about it. I don't know if Lance, you have anything to say about Rost?
No, I mean, he was cool. I played the game so long ago, so like I barely remember, but I remember liking the character. But I don't really have much to add.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I'm going to do a deep cut. I'm going to pull something from Greek mythology. And
wow,
you're going OG picks here. I love this.
Yeah.
Going like, we going into religions now? I'm going, dang.
Oh, Zeus. Zeus was a terrible.
Okay.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say a great. I was like, where are we going with this?
I was going to say Oedipus, but then I realized he just killed his father and married his mother. So that's just a whole different kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So I switched it to Zeus because he was also on my list. But I'm not even talking about the comics or anything. Like, you just look at mythology. I mean, Zeus, he was married to Hera or whatever, but he was having relations with like the earth and like animals. Like he was messed up. And even and who was Zeus's father? Right, was Kronos. Kronos, that was his father. Another terrible father, the god of all the gods. At one point, Kronos ate all of the gods, like Zeus and Athena. Like he ate them all. Like there's a famous painting of Kronos eating them all, and they like burst their way out. Like he ate all of his children. So that was Zeus's father there. So like that goes to show you, this chain of bad fatherhood. Anyway, that's my deep cut. It's not that deep.
He was friends with Galactus. They used to eat shit like that all the
That's
time.
right. That's right. Another terrible father, right?
I don't know. I like the deep cuts, man. It's a good channel.
Hell yeah.
All right, so now we're on me.
Yep.
All right, so The next one on my list for worst is Frank Reynolds, played by Danny DeVito on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
my favorite. This is my favorite show on TV today. It has been for probably 15 years. It's the best. We watch it all the time. My wife and I are obsessed with it, which is so great. And then my best dad would be sort of, you guys, this is going to be kind of ruined if you saw my Instagram this week, but whatever. John Krasinski, his character in A Quiet Place. If you've seen the movie, he's the best. He is, besides just literally sacrificing himself to save his daughter, he also was so obsessed with helping her that he won't even know it, but he invented the thing that could potentially be the weapon against these aliens that ruin the earth. He's just awesome.
Yeah.
And he loves his family, and he's wicked smart. So John Krasinski in A Quiet Place.
I will say, like, I haven't like sat there and watched it, but my wife watched it while I was playing video games, so I caught most of it. And just from what I saw, I can definitely see that choice. I don't know if any of you guys have also watched A Quiet Place.
I haven't.
Fantastic. So anyway, there you go.
I wanted to, but it was just
Too quiet.
I haven't watched movies. Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't think I could deal with the silence.
The deafening silence of the night.
And that movie is weird because it's so quiet. That's the whole point of the film. I have a really funny story. It's 3 seconds. When we saw the first movie, we saw it at like Friday at like 4 p.m. with my brother-in-law and my sister, who got the first time they had a babysitter or some shit. It was a huge deal. We had the whole row, and we're sitting there watching the movie, and it is so intense and so quiet that Lila was eating Twizzlers, and she pulled the Twizzler and it fell on the floor, and which happens literally a billion times per showing of any movie. But in this one, it dropped, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry," because it fell and it was so loud that it scared the shit out of the 20 people in the screening right behind us. It was amazing. So,
Wow.
but I felt bad. I'm like, she's a little kid that now feels like she has to apologize. I'm like, no, you don't. That's good filmmaking. Why are you apologizing? You dropped freaking candy.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, so it's just,
That's
it
funny.
was awesome.
Incredible. Only time that'll ever happen. Maybe. Except maybe Quiet Place too.
Yeah, dude. Which it is still
Another
very
Quiet Place.
yeah.
Aren't they making? Isn't that?
Yeah,
actually
it came out. No, I was serious actually.
We've already
Oh.
seen it 4 times.
Hey, there you go. Lance, what do you got?
All right, I got two that are similar, like genres. So I got Mufasa.
Yes.
Good one. I love it.
Yep. Awesome.
Yes.
Name a better dad than Mufasa. I mean, dude's
Yes.
a legend,
Absolutely.
right? Just teaching his son how to live, saved his son's life, gave him tough love, but was still like, a happy, loving father. And just what more could you want, Because his son did stupid things like going in the hyenas. It's like, told you not to go in there. I'm gonna have to beat you. He was just great. He was an awesome dad.
You guys love that? Go to the hyenas. I told you.
Don't do that.
Great.
I love Mufasa. And Lion King is probably it's not my favorite top 3 Disney movies of all time. Definitely. Probably my favorite of all time. Which Lion King
And
is
I have to
Hamlet,
say,
by the way, which is my favorite Shakespeare play. And I didn't realize they were the same story until I was a teenager. Lion King is just Lion Hamlet. So, fun fact. Sorry. Didn't mean to steal your thunder here.
Yeah, no thunder to be stolen. That's an awesome pick.
Hell yeah.
And my other pick for an awesome dad and the same similar thing is Marlin from Finding Nemo.
Yep. Yep, he's on my list.
Yeah, I mean, who goes? Went through sharks, sea turtles, jellyfish.
That's some Taken level stuff right there.
You bet. He should have been voiced by Liam Neeson.
Yes, he's the Liam Neeson of fish.
Yeah, it is. You went to those sharks, listen, I know you're sharks, but I'm going to find you, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to take your extra food.
Hell yeah.
He's super hardcore, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love it. In the live action adaptation, Liam Neeson's going to play Marlin. It's coming.
Yep.
Just wait.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
I think I see it in the nose because like the marlin, like the face. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
Yeah.
All right, we'll find you. Ken, what do you
All right.
Man, dude. I'm going to start going all over the charts. Do you want me to go like kind of off the rail again a little bit?
Dude, what do you got next?
I only have a good dad. I can't think of a bad dad that fits this category though, but it's I was checking my sources, but I was mistaken about who the father was of the bad father of this person that unfortunately the what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just being stupid.
But my first thought was Archie Manning of being a good dad. And I was trying to find someone that is an equally bad dad of the best quarterback family to the worst quarterback family of all time. Because like Archie Manning was a horrible quarterback. He was a good quarterback in his day, but he was on horrible teams. The New Orleans Saints and the Houston Oilers. Never won a thing in his career as a professional quarterback. Yet he had 3 sons, Peyton Manning, Archie Manning, and Cooper Manning. And I'm sorry, no, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Cooper Manning.
Yeah. And
Archie could have just hung it up and said, you know what, I'm just done with football. Yet he worked with his sons to become 4-time Super Bowl champions. 2 for Peyton and 2 for Eli. Peyton Manning's one of the most, how would you say it, well-rounded, balanced people inside of NFL history. Whoever has thought of Peyton Manning as a jerk? Is there anybody? Maybe when he was at Tennessee and he got in that little scam where he was more or less harassing the person that was the athlete trainer. I mean, that was like something that was a little bit of a scam about Peyton Manning, but that was kind of buried over because Peyton's such a likable, nice guy, always competing and always wanting to be the best on the field. And then his aw shucks brother, Eli Manning, who's kind of like, you know, they're so competitive yet not competitive at all. And all they're doing is winning championships against some of the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. Do you know what I mean? With the New England Patriots at the time, there was one family that could put Tom Brady in its place, and it was the Manning family, because Tom Brady owned Peyton most of the time, but little brother Eli stood up for Peyton and made sure that Tom Brady was put in his place when it came to championships. And it's you know, with all due respect, it might have been the NFC East too, because Nick Foles was able to steal one from Tom Brady too as well. But the Manning family, you got to have a dad that cares that much to make sure that you put not just one son into the NFL winning championships, you put 2 sons in the NFL winning championships. And Cooper Manning, the one that got hurt really bad in his last year of high school, has now got a son in high school that they're saying is the best Manning quarterback of them all. So that to me is like a family that's bonded together as like, we're going to be the best family to ever live in this sport. And that to me is kind of, you got to take a lot of respect to the father who had the worst career breeding 2 generations of champions getting ready. Because I can almost guarantee you this new Manning, oh my gosh, dude, this kid's probably be just as good as the rest of them. And that's kind of a good father figure to I see is like, didn't give up on the sport, but came out to own the sport when it came to quarterbacking in the NFL. So I know it's kind of not really pop culture, but it's kind of Pop Warner, I guess, is where it starts.
It's pop culture. Football's pop culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else think that maybe the Manning family is standing just behind the camera, pointing guns at Ken, forcing him to say all those nice things about him?
But they just wrote me a check for $250,000. It was kind of nice for the Manning quarterback school.
Blink rapidly if Peyton has a gun.
Of seizures.
I think that's.
It was like even a huge Manning fan, I just respect what that family did in the sport of the NFL. You know, I mean, I'm a Broncos fan. I'm a John Elway fan. I was pretty pissed off when Peyton Manning broke all of John Elway's passing records as a Bronco.
Yeah,
and because John Elway earned those, Peyton Manning just came in because he was the best quarterback of all time and smashed every single John Elway record. But Elway was smart enough to know this guy's going to win me a championship. And it was kind of like that's. I won't go into why I'm such a big John Elway fan, but that's one of the reasons right there too, is because that guy's all about winning. And unfortunately, he had to deal with Dan Reeves half of his career.
And, you know, that's like hockey, like Wayne Gretzky, fantastic father. Just like him, his daughter doesn't play sports. She's just super hot.
Yes, dude.
And
I mean, it's a fact. So good parenting.
Yes, exactly. Good parenting. So I just put Archie Manning on that list because I feel like he did some pretty good parenting for what happened in his career versus what happened to his kids in their career.
And Ken, did you not? You said you couldn't think of the bad father in this category because it's wildly obvious. It's O.J. Simpson. Okay, like that's the bad father from the football players. Like we're just gonna leave it at that. Like let's not even get into it. Everybody knows.
True.
Everybody knows.
Simpson, yeah, dude.
His
kids have never seen a football field.
we're just gonna leave it at O.J. Simpson.
I think there's a lot of bad dads in NFL. I'll leave it
probably
at that.
Yes. I mean,
like so comparable.
probably.
Like I can't think of somebody that like matches so perfectly. No one can be as bad as Archie was good with his family and his sport, the performance of the athletes in his next generations after him.
Fair enough.
I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. was a close second to me because Ken Griffey Sr. is really likable, and Ken Griffey Jr. had a great career, but he didn't win all the championships that his dad won. So it was kind of the opposite. Like the father, parented the sons to be better than he was. And with Ken Griffey Jr., like he was, I would say, arguably maybe a better player than his father.
He was way better. It's not even close.
Ken Griffey Sr. won the championships and Jr. never won a championship. And so I don't know if that's like it's apples to apples, but Ken Griffey Sr. I think is just as good of a father as Archie Manning. It's just, and Ken Griffey Jr. is so likable too as well, but it's seeing two sons, not just one son win championships in their sport. I had to go with Archie Manning over Ken Griffey Sr.
Yeah, it's just baseball is a little different than football because Mike Trout's been to the playoffs once and he's probably the greatest player of his generation. I mean, it's a team sport. Like if you in football, you have a quarterback, you're going to win a championship. You're going to go to the playoffs and probably go to maybe a Super Bowl if you have the best quarterback, you know? Whereas you can have the best player on God's green earth and you you're not going to the postseason. Forget about a championship, you know? So because Griffey's one of the greatest center fielders of all time. His dad was good, but he was nowhere near his dad. He was way better than his dad.
Yeah, and then I said too, the only reason, besides that aspect of people argue with me, well, Griffey Sr. won championships and Junior never did, and the fact is
irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. People listen to, I could see them trying to respond back. Well, Junior never won the championships his father did, and that's why I went with the Mannings because the sons of Mannings won their championships, and they broke all these passing records. And Ken Griffey Jr. I said too, what I love about Ken Griffey Jr. too is he did everything he did without steroids, where Bonds and McGuire and all those guys around Ken Griffey Jr.'s era, he easily, as you said too, is the most. I think he's one of the best players to play baseball of all time, Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
But he was in an era where he had to deal with all the steroid users that kind of took away from his stats of being what Ken Griffey Jr. was, considering what Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, even Roger Clemens, do you know what I mean? Being caught using the roids during his era. I mean, I was a huge Roger Clemens fan, and to see Clemens be implicated too. And I'm going, even the Rockets using the roids, and Ken was never implicated in using steroids during that era and still put up the kind of numbers that Ken Griffey Jr. put up during his career was pretty amazing.
And of course, speaking of the steroid era, there is the next steroid era that is plaguing our community here. And if you want to hear more about that, listen to Nightcap Chat episode 76, the next steroid era. Plug. Okay. All right.
Love it.
Actually, honestly, and not just a part of the show guy, because that's what I am now. That's not just a plug. It's actually a really good interview. A couple of times, that's when I got really heated. I don't know if you remember, Blade. I was like, wait a minute, what is he saying here? So it's a great episode. Go check it out.
Yeah, it's like our only serious episode, but it was too important not to address. And it's steadily been one of our top 10 episodes of all time. I don't think it ever left the top 10 list. So it's always been in there. That's how important it is. All right. I have 3 left. So I'm going to do my 2 bad ones and I'm going to save my one good one for last here. So this first one, another obvious pick, and it relates to something I said earlier. And you can really just go with any incarnation of this character, whether it's Norse mythology or Marvel, and that is Odin.
This is worst, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure, because I was going to say we're gonna have a fight.
I live across the street.
Let's not screw around with this. All right.
Yeah. Odin is so bad. I mean, forget all the other stuff that's in the mythology and the comics. I mean, he also cast Angela to some whatever dimension, right? And she was recently
he closed
revealed.
off the dimension. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, like that's how far he took it. Besides all of the dumb punishments he gave to Thor and everything else, and I mean, he's probably also cheated on who's Odin married to? I forget now.
Hera?
I thought, isn't Hera married to Zeus, or am I just mixing everything up?
Okay.
Frigga. I mean, he had to, at least in the mythology, because Odin and Zeus are like the exact same thing. But yeah, I mean, Odin is garbage, and I kind of like Odin. He's cool in his own way. Anyone have any comments before I move on from Odin?
No,
No?
I like it.
Yeah. My other bad dad, and this is going off of something Lance said earlier from Dragon Ball Z, Goku. Goku's the main character from Dragon Ball Z. He's a terrible dad. He was never there for Gohan. It was distracted him from studying. He would put his life in danger by going to train. And then he would just leave his family like, okay, I'm going to go train for a few years and just disappear. Didn't ask. He just leaves his wife and his kid and then gets himself killed. And he goes trains in Dragon Ball Z Heaven. Well, he just leaves his wife and son behind. Like, Goku is one of the worst fathers.
And he's a moron.
And he's stupid. Yeah. Sure, he has a pure heart, but he's dumb. And it makes him a bad dad. Granted, I mean, yeah, no, not granted anything. Goku's a bad dad.
All right, so I have just two left on each category. So I'll go through with them. And I really struggled with this one, but for bad dad, the next one is a character named Luck from a game, Pocket Planet. It's Dylan Pocket Planet.
Oh my god! Why? He's not a dad.
If you play the game, you'll realize that he's just the worst, and the voiceover is atrocious. Bad guy.
No, that voice actor, like he nailed the character. Like, he got right into it, and he just embodied Luck. I think he
I don't know.
did a phenomenal
we
job. I don't know. Because he even posted a picture like dressed as him, like posing like the character.
Yeah,
I mean, like that's
I
dedication.
believe it's my wallpaper when I call you. It's insane. Okay, for real though. Okay, so my second to least favorite, or the second to worst, dad would be George Bluth from Arrested Development. He is just awful.
Yes.
He's just the worst. And then my second best dad would obviously be Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Well,
That's cool. Yeah.
so there you go.
Ken, you want to say something? I know you do.
No, I think that's great. Who, me?
Yeah.
Arrested Development? Yes, dude. I mean, any man that goes to prison.
Oh,
Arrested Development is one of my favorite shows because I go that.
Oh, really?
He's so self-absorbed. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. He just has no clue. I mean, I said too, yes, dude. In Arrested Development, it's a fun train wreck to watch every episode. If you've never watched Arrested Development, it makes me laugh out loud every single time about just how dysfunctional that family is, but how much fun they are to watch and how they're going to try to get through what their father put him into. And Jason Bateman, I mean, good gosh, dude. I mean, that show was a perfect setup for his show, The Ozark. I think that,
which is the exact
you know what I mean?
opposite.
Like, Yes, and it's just like that thing too is where he's trying to keep his family out of trouble, and his family's already in trouble in Arrested Development, and he's roles reversed in Ozark, where no matter what he does to try to keep his family out of trouble, it digs it deeper into trouble, and it's just Jason Bateman is wonderful in both of those shows. I can't wait for the next season of Ozark to come up. And you had Michael Cera get his start on Arrested Development, and just the awkward relationship of him having the crush on his female cousin. It's just so much good, fun, stupid comedy in that show. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. So Blade, do you have one left to do? So like your top ones, right?
I did, but then I realized I thought of something that I forgot to write down on my list. So I'm going to actually squeeze in 3 because it's 2 sides of one coin, and then one of my favorite dads of all time.
Okay, I'll just do my number 1 and 2 then. For my number 1 on each one, real quick. Okay, so then my favorite worst dad is Jack Torrance from my favorite horror film of all time, The Shining.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, obviously, and the interesting thing about my number 1s on both is they're both from very famous books. Fiction, and then in the films they're also huge. And my number 1 is obviously Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, and both the Harper Lee novel and then the performance on screen is just iconic. So there you go, my number 1 and number 2, both book to screen, both in both roles, just as good and bad.
Yeah, classic, and absolutely classic performances, classic movie, phenomenal movie. And if you haven't seen it, I mean, for sure. I mean, like you gotta watch it. I mean, like that's essential reading, an essential movie watching, both. I mean, you rarely get that from novels and the movie, but like it's must watch, must read. Lance?
All right. Well, I was trying really hard to find a video game for either way, and I couldn't think of anything.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. So when I told Sarah I was doing this show tonight, she goes, "You should put one in there for Bad Dad," and it's what's his name from BioShock 3 Infinite, and I like peed my pants because the whole movie, the whole game, you don't know it's the dad, and yet you're always kind of looking down her clothes. She's super super hot, and then at the end when it's that creepy.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So for a video game, what I tried, and I was like, I think that's too obscure. But,
I would have got it. I mean, you could also said like Tom Nook. He sends his little adopted children to work in the store. Like he's a terrible little tanuki raccoon.
I'm literally telling Sarah right now that Blade just blew my mind with that one.
Actually, now you said that, I have a.
Oh, you have one.
I have another one.
All right, what is it?
And it's an obvious one. Okay, so I have 2 bad dads and 1 good dad.
Okay.
The one that you just popped in my head, Bowser. He makes Bowser Jr. think Peach is his mom, and he makes him go and kidnap Peach, and he's mad at Mario because he's like, "This is my mom," and it's like, clearly that's not like, dude, it's not your mom. Like
I got news for you.
God knew, yeah. So, like, what a terrible father. He kidnaps princesses and, I mean.
And lies to him. Like, yeah, this is your mom. She's that princess from the other kingdom.
Which almost maybe makes sense. I don't know. Why she get captured so often? Who knows?
Yeah.
9 months later, no.
It's not a mine. Yeah.
No. Luigi.
What just happened?
Okay, so my other bad father is Walter Hardy, Black Cat's dad. So, like, what a horrible. So, like, he was like the original Black Cat, and he just tried hiding everything he did from his family, his wife and his daughter, and didn't want his daughter doing what he did. And he ended up going into prison, and he ended up, dying or whatever. And his daughter still ended up being the Black Cat. And, like, there's just like, there was no point where he was like a positive influence on his life. Now, given Black Cat's awesome lover, but horrible father. Ken, do you have any opinions on that?
I said too, like, yeah, for Black Cat to turn out as great as she did, and it's funny to say this, that she's more psychologically balanced than Peter Parker, in a weird way of saying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she had the father that does not, not care at all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, she's a cat burglar. She wants to be like him. She kind of obviously has some idolization for him. But when it comes to more or less self-awareness of confidence and ability, yeah, dude, she always wanted to please Peter Parker, but she was always more, I would say, comfortable with herself than Peter Parker's ever been. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Am I over exaggerating about Felicia Hardy?
No.
Dude, because like Peter Parker doubts himself at every single freaking turn. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I should have saved that person's life. That's all my fault. I go, Peter, you're saving millions of people every freaking year, yet you always remember the one person that got away. Oh, Gwen Stacy, I shouldn't have let her die. It's like, get over yourself, man. It's like you're married to Mary Jane Watson. She's a redheaded, super hot model. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Gwen Stacy was the love of your life. You had the chance to be with Felicia Hardy for life.
And you blew it.
You blew it. Do you know what I mean? Felicia Hardy moved on pretty well from that. Peter still pines on Gwen even after being married. Do you know what I mean? And as much as I like Peter Parker and Spider-Man and just the great power with great responsibility, he's way too spoiled by women. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
How does he get so many women when he's just so nice?
At least Dick Grayson gets the women because he deserves them. Do you know what I mean? Like Robin and Dick Grayson and Nightwing.
Yeah.
That guy has to fight off the women because he's comfortable enough with himself to know how awesome he is. And he's kind of Barbara Gordon. Do you know, he's still, as many other women like Starfire, the Teen Titans, the woman of love that comes down and wants to give, anything that he wants. Dick Grayson, Starfire's got the hots for Dick Grayson. I'm not talking about, I mean? But Grayson, Nightwing, Robin, do you know what I mean? It's like he's the polar opposite of Peter Parker when it comes to his understanding how relationships work. And Peter Parker's like, yeah, dude, as much as I'm a Spider-Man fan, dude, get a clue, man. This is not, it's not always your fault that life doesn't go the way that it needs to do. Do you know what I mean? Uncle Ben taught you with great power comes great responsibility. I think Uncle Ben would have a little talk with him, as we're talking about earlier, too. It's like, Peter, man, you're going to be okay. Not everybody is your responsibility because you choked on me, man. And that would be the next thing Uncle Ben would teach Peter Parker if he was still alive today.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? Yeah, you should have tripped that guy and stopped him, but it's like, I want you to be over yourself. You deserve some of your happiness and live with that happiness that you earned because you're a great person, Peter. And I think that you need to let some things go.
Yep.
So that's why I say Black Cat's more balanced than Peter Parker when it comes to an emotionally secure person than Peter Parker's ever been.
That's a fantastic.
About that. So that's my 2 words about like Black Cat and how awesome she has matured from her father experience versus from Peter Parker, who has still got some issues from, things that he just can't let go, even though that with great power comes great responsibility is the motto he lives by. I think Uncle Ben would be still telling him today. It's like that, man, dude, you gotta be a little bit less hard on yourself. And Black Cat doesn't have that problem at all.
I loved it. And Lance, why did you make a face?
Well, I made a face.
The burrito. Ken was making an analogy.
I didn't understand what you were saying with the burrito.
Well, Susan's eating a burrito, right?
What?
Isn't that a burrito, right? Burrito?
What is she?
She has
Is that a
she's a
burrito?
phone in her hand.
Oops, with Nutella on
What
it.
is that? Is that a burrito?
Oh, Nutella.
That's not even close to a burrito.
Okay, I tried.
I
I was just bringing it full circle. No, oh my gosh. What?
I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a figment of your imagination.
She's not here. It's a secret.
Yeah,
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. What a fantastic analysis that, like, if you just said that in a nutshell, I would be like, no, that doesn't make sense. But that's wonderful and just so just so right on, and it makes me wonder what other kinds of like deeper, what's the plural of analysis? Analyses?
Yeah,
Analyses?
exactly right.
Right. That we can come up with for comic books and whatever. I love that. I don't even know whose turn it was now.
It's still mine.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna do my last favorite dad. Or
Okay.
Good one.
Good one. It's pretty obvious, right? Tony Stark and MCU. Right? Great dad.
That wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm an Iron Man fan, Tony Stark
I guess.
in the MCU. He's a great dad, great
Reach.
father. How's it a reach? Okay, why isn't he a good dad?
I disagree that it's a reach. He almost decided to not fix the world because he wanted his daughter so much. So I think that makes him a pretty effing number one dad by most aspects. I'm okay with all of you people being dusted. I just don't want to lose my kid. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And plus he did, as a father, make the ultimate sacrifice, knowing that his daughter was going to be okay, because his best friend, Happy Hogan's going to be like the stand-in, whether him and Pepper ever, I don't know if that probably never is going to happen, but Happy Hogan, he is the step-in father figure for Tony. And in a weird way, am I like going too far? Don't you think that would be like the evolution of the story? Is like he's going to try to have, and I could see like him sharing as many memories of being Tony Stark's best friend through all the movies to remind her how awesome her dad is over and over and over again. And just the fact of like he loved you more than anything, but he was such a great hero. He sacrificed how much he loved you, and he's for saving the rest of the world so you can have this great world to live in by him making that sacrifice. So talk about the ultimate fatherly sacrifice like giving a world for his daughter to live in, because Thanos would have destroyed it.
And it was also don't forget also he was like, he did it also because of Spider-Man. I mean, he was like a father figure to Spider-Man. And the relationship that they had, and he was like, it's not fair that, this kid from Queens, his aunt lost her kid, and he was put himself in that shoes. Like, I would want to bring my kid back too. And then there's also, I don't know if you guys seen the deleted scenes in Endgame. After the snap, it takes him to his daughter. It doesn't take him to Pepper Potts. It takes him to his daughter in the Soul Stone, and he's talking to his daughter, and it's I literally watched it and cried. It was so good.
Do you wish it was in the original cut?
I don't know. It was so that whole movie was so emotional. So I guess why not? I already cried like 4 times at that point. So I kind of wish it was. Maybe he wins an award if it's in there. Maybe, I don't know.
Interesting.
Really good.
I mean, and I can't believe no one brought up Thanos, in all this, like as a worst dad.
Yeah, I thought,
Yeah.
I thought about putting him in the best.
That's why I wore my Thanos shirt. I wore my bad dad shirt. Mostly from the
best. What's weird is he's a big fan of Yellowstone National Park, Lance.
That's what makes him a bad dad.
Yellowstone.
No,
I like it.
All right, and that was your last one, Lance?
Yeah.
All right, Ken, what else do you have left?
Okay.
If anything.
I always got something. That's the problem. Let me see here too. I'm so into the Tony Stark answer right now. It kind of derailed me a little bit.
About man,
how cool that's, you know what I mean? Like the forgotten awesome father from that whole movie, and then at the end being what he is and what he did. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. It's gonna hopefully come back and somehow be involved with future movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it remains to be seen. But you know what I was thinking? Okay, this one's a little bit controversial. People are probably going to hate me for this one, but I was thinking about the whole time. I kind of think Professor X is a horrible father.
I agree. I was going to say that.
That was what I was thinking in the background before we started talking about Tony Stark. I'm going, should I go there? Yes. You know what? I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Professor X has a son, but he's got a school of mutants that he cares more than his own son, David, who's Legion.
Ooh.
And that's why I think Legion has so many personalities in his head, because he wants one of those personalities to love him as much as he wants his dad to love him. And as I said too, for him to shut down Magneto and the arrogance to put his best friend in his head and think like that, Magneto, you ripping out Wolverine, one of my sons, one of my kids, X-Men's adamantium off of his bones, that's too far, my friend. I'm taking you and I'm putting you inside of my mind. And that creates onslaught. His son has a billion different personalities inside of his head he can control. Dude, Professor X, your ego is just a little bit too big for me, man. And that's a little bit unfortunate because I love the X-Men. But when I read some of those stories that they put out about like how Professor X is so self-centered towards trying to save all mutants and make them a great part of humanity, as a father, not so cool. As a person that's trying to progress a species, awesome. As a father, I think you got some issues you need to check on, dude.
Wow. I can't even argue with it. And I love X-Men. But that's a great point. Can't argue. You win. I concede.
I say the best father in that thing there.
The best father
of that whole situation, because like Professor X is like horrible.
Well, it's definitely not Cyclops, because
this is you're gonna argue with me on that too. Is like that. I think Cyclops is a better father than Professor X.
Well, that's a low bar. Like he
made the ultimate sacrifice to save his son from Apocalypse and send him to the future to grow up and become Cable. Then when he came back, he was a good father. He goes, you know what? I had to do what I had to do, son. I wanted to make sure you survived.
Okay,
and Apocalypse did not merge with you to make you one of the ultimate supervillains of all time. I could not have my child be sacrificed in that way. I know, once again, husband, he's a horrible husband. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, because who's the mother? Who's the mother?
It's Madeline Pryor.
Yes, that's a clone of his wife.
I'm saying too.
That's
as a husband, he's a horrible husband. We're not talking husbands, we're talking fathers. And as a father figure, him and his true love of his life, which once again, with all due respect to Madeline Pryor, Mr. Sinister made a clone of his true love of his life, Jean Grey. And Jean Grey is what Madeline Pryor is, but she's a clone. And he still came back to Jean to get married to her. And he, like, you know what I mean? He was totally fine being a good husband to Jean until, unfortunately, Apocalypse merged with him in Age of Apocalypse. Apocalypse the 12 storyline, where Apocalypse was trying to pick perfect person to merge with for all of eternity. And sure enough, it was the Summer's son. It was Nate Gray from another reality is who he was trying to merge with. And Cyclops saved his son from a different reality to merge with Apocalypse. And then at that point is when Cyclops's more or less mind was tainted after that. And he had a little piece of Apocalypse that eventually Cable and Jean purged out of his brain. But he kind of was more even, he was what do you call it? It's like more or less emotionless after that. And that's why he started straying to Emma Frost, is like that. Emma was able to break down because a part of his soul left with Apocalypse when they were separated. And I kind of think like that. Cyclops, as a father, made the ultimate sacrifices to make sure that Nate stayed safe from all the pain and strife that Apocalypse was going to put him through. He took that on himself, the Cyclops.
And you know what's you know what's great is I know that everyone can also catch all of our X-Men episodes on what episode, Blake? Because I know you're looking it up right now.
That's not what I'm looking up, because I'm trying to debunk Ken's theory with some comic book panels, because I'm trying to figure out what comic book.
I'm clicking and I was like, oh, he's gonna plug another episode of ours.
I brought this up. This was on the 100th anniversary show. This is my favorite thing you guys did. I love this episode.
Yes, the Foxmen Part 1 and Part 2. It's episode 62. And then I think, episode 62 and 63 of Nightcap Chat. I don't
get me wrong. Cyclops is a person, yeah, kind of questionable. Cyclops is a father, so much better than Professor X.
Okay, like I said, that's a low bar that you're comparing it to, because I can't find it in a quick Google search here.
How's it a low bar?
But there's, huh? It's a low bar
How's it a low
against.
bar?
It's a low bar against Professor X. You're comparing his fathering skills against Professor X. Like
Yes.
sure, he's not that bad. Like you're comparing him to like O.J. Simpson. At this point, because there's a
Who was on Lance's good list on the phone?
there's a comic book panel I saw just the other day. I think it was like X Factor or something. And they're carrying off Madeline Pryor and Jean's there. And Cyclops is thinking to himself, "Oh, I'm so glad we're getting Madeline Pryor out of the way, and we can get this baby out of the way, and I could spend some time with Jean." He's just so relieved.
I'm not saying he's a good husband. He's a horrible husband. Cyclops' worst husband.
But he was also glad to
all
get rid of the
time.
baby.
The baby too? What? Where do you say?
I can't find it. I will send it to you.
Oh, because I thought like that. It said too. Apocalypse was trying to kidnap the baby to make him the vessel of a future apocalypse. And I thought the only way that was, I think if it's actually ironically his stepsister Rachel, who was in the future, that took him in and raised him to be Nate Summers, who was Cable as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
which is crazy. X-Men time travel is probably the worst thing to try to explain it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Of like that X-Men time traveling. But as a two, like I guess I'm gonna put this to the next level. How good of a father is Wolverine?
Oh, really bad.
Oh, Dakin, that's his son hates him.
Yeah.
And Wolverine's trying to fix that relationship, but it's like I guess that was it's kind of a little bit of a thing too, because I give Wolverine the benefit of the doubt is he tries rebuilding that relationship with Dakin, but it's just he's not obviously trying hard enough if they're still major nemesis with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He is a good father figure on that because, he mentored Kitty Pryde, he mentored Jubilee, he mentored Rogue, he mentored X-23. I guess that's, I guess he's like a big brother, big sister type of thing more than, do you know what I mean? The father figure on that I would go, but he is he's I guess he's proven himself in that way of being a decent father figure, but he's got no blood investment other than X-23 because it's a clone of him.
Yeah.
But so I would say I guess you could say Wolverine's a better father figure than Cyclops, I guess if you really wanted to. But
I would definitely make that comparison. And a better husband material.
Blake, who's your last one?
Well, do you have any other ones, Ken? Before I wrap this up.
Yeah, dude. I can tie it up with that. We can do it for another episode.
Okay.
Part 2.
There we go.
Worst fathers of all time.
Part 2. Love it. Okay. I'm gonna do my flip side of the coin, and then one of my favorite fathers of all time. So flip side of the coin. This is probably one of the dumbest choices that we've said all night. But I went through my movies and I was looking through like some of my favorite movies of all time. Actually, I went them on Blu-ray. So this is from one of my favorite comedies and like my favorite Christmas movie of all time. And it's Papa Elf from Elf was a great father figure because he took on Buddy the Elf and he was just like, yeah, Santa, no, I'll raise him. It's all good. And even though he was a human and he was too big for everything, like he turned, and then when he was old enough, he told him what was up. Like, we took you in, you're in Santa's bag. Your real dad, works at the Empire State Building and he's kind of a dick. And so the flip side of that coin is his real dad, played by James Caan. He was a terrible dad to not only his son he didn't know about, but his son he did know about. But at the end of the movie, he does rectify that. But I mean, we had a good dad and a bad dad within the movie Elf there.
That's awesome. That is a good pick.
Yeah, I had to say. Okay, now one of my favorite father figures of all time in cinematic history, from one of my top 3, if not my number 1 favorite movie of all time, the titular character, Leon the Professional. Okay, Jean Reno.
Short time period, but it qualifies.
Absolutely qualifies. I mean, she came from an abusive family. Like, both of her parents abused her sister abused her, and she goes out to get some milk one day, and her dad was a real piece of what, and he owes money to the wrong crooked cop who comes in and shoots up the entire family, and she just plays it cool and just rings Jean Reno's doorbell, Leon's doorbell. It's like, please let me in. Like he's a hitman, but his rule is no women, no kids, and he lets her in and literally saves her life. And maybe it's not good, but he teaches her how to be a hitman or a hit little girl, I guess. Right. But she's the only like father figure, strong male role model, she had in her life, So Leon, the professional.
Good pick. That's a good indie pick. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. Still number one is Liam Neeson in Taken, but I had to bring that one up.
My number 2 is Liam Neeson in Taken 2.
Ooh, yeah. There you go. I haven't seen those. I feel like it didn't warrant a sequel.
I just thought of like a fun debate question about like a good dad or bad dad, since we're talking about dads. And like, is this person a good dad or a bad dad?
Okay.
And I was just thinking, like, we're talking about the professional. Made me think about another dad that could go either way of being a good dad or a bad dad based off of how he parented. And the parent I'm thinking of is Big Daddy from Kick-Ass, the father of
Kid Girl. Man,
Nick
that's
Cage.
A great Nicolas Cage.
Now, is that a good dad or is that a bad dad? What he did to teach his daughter to be the ultimate weapon in society. He was a great father figure in some ways, but at the same time, you're treating your daughter to be a belligerent little that just cuts everybody up. Go ahead.
Man, played by Chloe Grace on film. She's fantastic. And now you blew my mind. Is he good dad or bad dad? He's overprotecting. She's definitely trained to survive, right?
Yes.
She's never going to have a problem with that at all. And
so likable.
Pretty independent. That's awesome. But her social skills are lacking. She doesn't have any experience with actual people without seeing them as potential victims.
Yes.
So, interesting point. I don't know.
I'm going to just go ahead and say it's both. It's circumstances of the society. Everything was happening with heroes, superheroes, villains. So he was not raising a victim. Did he have to take it so far? Probably not, but he was doing his best to protect her.
I said too, like it's the perfect shade of gray. It's like this is both, a good father and a bad father at the same time, and it's do you know what I mean? It's like that. I don't really see him being a bad dad, but people would argue all day, like, dude, you just trained your daughter to not be able to socialize in society at all, and she is probably not going to live coming out of this because eventually she's going to run into the wrong villains. That it's just, how is she going to make a life for herself as a human being outside of being a human weapon? Is she going to become a mercenary? What does she do? I'm just thinking, like, what's this girl do when she grows up?
Well, let's take that a step further here. If you read the comic books, this was cut from the movie, and I was almost disappointed. And I won't say it, but you draw the conclusions. Read between the lines here. In the comic books, when they're going to the final battle in the first volume of Kick-Ass, she's going up the elevator with Kick-Ass, and she pulls out a vial with a white powdery substance, and she snorts it. And Kick-Ass asks if that's, the thing, which I don't want to say it just because I don't want to mark this as explicit. And she insists, like, no, it's not that. It's a powerful, like, whatever enhancing substance. And like, so Big Daddy gave her this substance for in case of emergencies, and we all know what it was.
Yeah.
So you gave a minor this substance to use in case of emergency. Like that's probably a bad idea. Like that's probably never a good idea.
Well, if she's in a bad situation, it's saving her life. That's good dad material.
All right, I guess I can't argue with that. I don't know.
Because you mentioned Nicolas Cage, I just thought of a good dad.
Oh, Con Air.
Con Air, yeah.
Yeah.
What a great dad.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
A great movie.
But I mean, the list can go on and on and on, just like the song that never ends, Lamb Chop, which is one of my dog's favorite.
Oh my God,
toys.
yes.
Maybe we'll do a follow up to this episode. Maybe next year. Maybe in a few weeks. We'll see what happens. What are some of your favorite good dads or bad dads in pop culture? You think we missed anything that we absolutely needed to say? Let us know on social media. We're at Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Twitter, and Nightcap_chat on Instagram. Ken.
It's like that. Thanks again, you guys, for listening. It's awesome having Steve on the show, dude. It's like welcome to the team. And you could see Ken at Drawn to Comics in downtown Glendale, Arizona, at Drawn to Comics, 5801 West Glendale Avenue. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Drawn to Comics. And thank you very much for taking the time to enjoy what we're doing here. One more thing, too. I want to say thanks to I've had a few different customers come up and tell us how much they love the show lately.
Aww.
It's like, oh my gosh, you guys, that's awesome to hear that our footprint's growing as, customers coming up and telling me like that. Oh man, the last episode was fun. And, people talk about the anime episode with me, and they're talking about that CGC episode with me. Some guy, his name's Justin, was talking about the new heritage auctions of the pedigree collection that
and I have an idea.
we're auctioning right now.
You should
And
do a
he was
thing
just
where
like
it is-
glowing about the show.
Yeah.
You should do a thing where it's come into the show, to the store, and if you can tell us which national park treasure of the world Lance thinks is garbage, you get like $5 off. Or 5% off your purchase. Put like a secret little plug in there, and then we'll know if these people actually listen to the show. We'd like to see how wrong Lance actually is. So I like this idea. And tell you what, and I'll match that 5% at Yahoo. And we'll donate it to some sort of anti-Lance charity, whatever's out there.
PETA.
Yes.
I did have a customer come up to me, and she said, Kim, she's one of our customers too. And I got to admit to it, she goes, dude, you were right about Onslaught. And it's like that because like I mentioned Onslaught on my top 10 list of being super underappreciated. And she goes, now in Way of X, Onslaught's in the storyline. It's like, this isn't the only one with a crystal ball. You got one too.
Oh.
And so I know she's listening because she talked about Lance's crystal ball. And I'm going,
Wow.
right there.
Lance, it's freaking happening.
And so is Kim Land. So I shouldn't say last names, but a shout out to Kim Land now that we said it, right, dude? But super, super cool. Her husband and her 2 kids are like our regulars for years.
Love it.
And she loves listening to podcasts, and she always comes in and tells me about, oh my gosh, you guys are so awesome. You're so much fun to listen to. So thanks for what you do. And I go, man, like you're making my day, Kim, because it was a pretty tough week for a couple of weeks for me recently. Yeah. And having customers come in and tell us how much they love listening to us jazzes me for what we do every Monday. And that's just really cool to hear.
Yes. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate that, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll make sure to tell my wife, about the crystal ball thing, because she gets embarrassed when I wear the Nightcap Chat shirt outside because it says hashtag Lance is a genius on the back. And I'm like, nobody knows I'm Lance. Like people aren't going to think, everybody just be like, oh, what's the hashtag? But now eventually I'm going to maybe I'll run into somebody there and be like, wow, man.
Are you Lance with Lance's crystal ball? Steve?
Anyway, you guys.
Oh, Lance. Sorry, I almost skipped you.
You get me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Tales of Lance. And Steve, welcome to the team.
Thanks, man.
You get to close yourself out. Yeah. I know.
Yes,
so your
sweet.
first time.
And I bring nothing to the table. Thank you for following. If you want to see any of my real estate puns jammed into movie and TV pop culture references, follow me on Instagram at Yawkey Way Appraisals. And there you go. I really bring nothing to the table except for occasionally showing up here. So welcome aboard, Steve.
Overly modest. Well, we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. We love you. Be safe. And we'll catch you all next week.
Every week.
Thank you for all listening.